Good evening, I'm Ces Orenia Drilon.
I'm Pauline Verzosa.
And I'm Sean Yao.
The biggest story tonight is virtually the whole country bracing for the onslaught of what's shaping up to be the biggest storm of the year. Close to 24 areas are already under signal number 1 at the approach of Uwan, soon to be possibly a super typhoon.
And with Uwan's intense rains are projections of more massive flooding. And tonight, we speak to Environment Secretary C.P. David on what went wrong in Cebu and what can be done right as we face another typhoon.
And the Philippine economy posts the slowest growth in 4 years amid a corruption scandal. But the Finance Department is promising a strong comeback, calling the slowdown just a temporary hiccup.
Uwan is still outside the Philippine area of responsibility, but wind signal number 1 is already up over many areas in the country. The potential super typhoon's last recorded location is east of eastern Visayas. Uwan is still far from land, but Pag-asa has wind signals hoisted in parts of Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao.
In Luzon, signal number 1 is up over the southeastern portion of Quezon, the eastern portion of Romblon, Camarines provinces, Catanduanes, Albay, Sorsogon, and Masbate. Meanwhile, in the Visayas, under signal number are the Samar provinces, Biliran, mainland and southern Leyte, the northern and central portions of Cebu, as well as the northeastern portions of Bohol, Capiz, and Iloilo, and the northern portion of Negros Occidental. Now, in Mindanao, signal number 1 is hoisted over Dinagat Islands and Surigao del Norte. Based on Pag-asa's latest rainfall advisory, starting tomorrow through Sunday afternoon, very heavy showers or more than 200 millimeters of rain could affect Camarines Sur, Catanduanes, and Albay. 100 to 200 millimeters of rainfall could be experienced in Cagayan, Isabela, Quirino, Aurora, Quezon, Camarines Norte, Sorsogon, Masbate, and Samar provinces.
All right, and some advance notice. By Sunday afternoon up until Monday afternoon, these provinces can expect heavy rainfall. Aurora, Nueva Ecija, Cagayan, Isabela, Quirino, Nueva Vizcaya, Apayao, Kalinga, Abra, Mountain Province, Ifugao, Benguet, the Ilocos provinces, La Union, and Pangasinan. Now, these areas could also experience up to 200 millimeters of rain. Metro Manila, Zambales, Bataan, Tarlac, Pampanga, Bulacan, Cavite, Laguna, Batangas, Rizal, Quezon, and Occidental Mindoro.
Now let's get more updates on Uwan from News 5 weather frontliner Alvin Pura. Alvin, can you tell us gaanong karaming ulan ang meron sa 100 millimeters para i-laymanize mo para sa amin?
Yes, yung ating mga 100 millimeters. So, nasa range tayo ng 50 to 100 is moderate to heavy rains. Tapos yung ating 100 to 200 is yan naman yung ating intense to heavy to intense rains. And yung ating 200 is yung ating up to torrential rains. So, yung ating 100 millimeters na pagulan is possible na po yung magdala ng mga pagbaha. Kung mag-average tayo ng isang buwan na pagulan, usually, depende sa season, nasa 300 or 300 to 400 yung ating pagulan in a span of 1 month. So, kapag nagkaroon tayo ng 100 millimeters sa pagulan in a span of 24 hours, so meron tayong mga possible na flooding na yan. And lalong-lalo na, if more than 200 millimeters na pagulan yung ating natatanggap, yung mga ganyang klaseng pagulan, or torrential rains, yung halos walang humpay na pagulan or halos walang tigil na pagulan, yung mga areas na kadalasan namang hindi binaba is makakaranas ng pagbaha. Especially yung mga tributaries natin, yung mga daanan ng tubig, or yung ating mga waterways, lalong-lalo na if ever may mga areas na galing sa bundok or yung mga daanan ng tubig mula sa bundok. So yan, nabubuhay po yung mga linya na yan, so ang ating mga water lines. If ever ganyan yung ating mga klase ng pagulan. At maliban dyan, nagpapabaha po yan, nagpapaapaw ng mga ilog, nagpapaapaw po ng mga dams, at yun nga, possible yung ating mga widespread floodings kapag pumalo na sa hanggang 200 millimeters yung ating pagulan. Yes,
Okay,
yes?
ibig sabihin, kumbaga kalahating buwan na ulan sa isang araw lang babagsak. Parang ganon.
Yes. In a span of short period of time na meron tayong ganong klaseng pagulan, is delikado talaga, especially sa mga low-lying areas.
Okay. Ngayon naman, Alvin, there's a 36-hour lead time no bago pumasok ang bagyo, pero meron ng mga wind signals. Kailan ba natin mararamdaman yung talagang hagupit nitong si Uwan?
Okay, Ses, binigyan nga agad ng local name itong si Uwan kahit nasa labas pa ng ating PAR. The reason behind that is meron kasing tinaas na tropical cyclone wind signal yung Pag-asa sa mga areas nga ng Visayas and some parts ng Bicol region. So meron tayong signal number 1 na nakataas. Sa signal number 1, meron tayong tinatawag na lead time nga. For signal number 1, meron tayong 36 hours. Ibig sabihin niya, within the next 36 hours or 1.5 day, pwede tayong makaramdam na ng mga hangin or mga possible na gustiness na directly associated kay Bagyong Uwan. So madadagdagan pa yan habang lumalapit pa yung ating Bagyong Uwan. So bukas, mamayang gabi hanggang mamayang madaling araw is kakapasok pa lang ng Bagyong Uwan or makakapasok pa lang sa loob ng PAR itong Bagyong Uwan. Generally, fair weather pa tayo sa malaking bahagi ng mga areas na yan, kahit yung mga areas na may tropical cyclone wind signals. So hindi agad nararamdaman yung malakas na bugso ng hangin kapag meron tayong tropical cyclone wind signal number 1. So by darating na Sunday morning, well hanggang Saturday evening to Sunday morning, doon na sasabit yung ating mga panglabas na wind field o yung hangin nitong Bagyong Uwan. So by that time, mas mararamdaman na natin yung mga gustiness mula kay Bagyong Uwan. Pero incrementally, mas madadagdagan pa yan habang lumalapit yung ating bagyo doon sa ating landmass and yung ating signal, mas ma-upgrade din yan. Wala tayong signal na diretsong number 3 agad or number 4 agad. From 1, aakyat pa yan dahil umiiksi yung ating lead time. Ginagamit yung ating lead time para makapag-prepare sa pagpasok ng ating bagyo or sa possible effects ng ating bagyo.
Actually, Alvin, ang dami nga, no? Kahit yung mga international meteorologists ay nagbabanta na rin, no? Mag-ingat tayo lahat dito. Pero what can you see based doon sa sirkulasyon niya? Kasi minsan inaaral din yung sirkulasyon, no? Mas marami ba itong dalang hangin? Mas marami ba itong dalang ulan? Or pare-parehas, malakas?
Yes, Sean, tignan mo yung ating satellite. Oh. Dito pa lang makikita na natin na napakalawak agad ng cloudiness at circulation ng Bagyong Uwan. So, in terms of circulation, sa Pag-asa, nasa around 1,400 yung kanilang estimate sa diameter. At kung titingnan nyo yung ating satellite image, yung ating isobars, itong lines of equal pressure, ibig sabihin yan yung ating mga linya na kung saan pare-parehas yung pressure within the circle. Pero parehang gradient map eh. Pag mas madikit-dikit yung ating mga hangin, or yung linya natin mas dikit-dikit, ibig sabihin mas malakas yung ating hangin. So, normally mas malakas yung ating hangin sa gitna, pero kung papansinin nyo, up to dito sa mga areas na malayo sa mismong gitna at covered nga niyan yung ating buong bansa is meron tayong mga possible gusty winds. So if ever, kahit nandito na po sa eastern section ng Visayas or sa eastern section ng Northern Luzon at Central Luzon, yung Bagyong Uwan, is ramdam natin yung hangin yan up to dito sa areas ng Palawan, Visayas, and some portions ng Mindanao. So meron tayong mga pabugso-bugsong hangin pa rin. Although hindi kasing lakas ng gitna ng bagyo, is mararamdaman pa rin natin yan dito sa mga areas na nasa malayo sa mismong center ng bagyo. Yun po yung ating nakikita based sa circulation yan. And yun nga, possible pang umabot sa super typhoon to. At kaya by that time, mas lalakas pa yung ating ine-expect na hangin dito sa Bagyong Uwan. With respect naman sa kanyang mga pagulan, makikita rin natin dito sa ating satellite image, although hindi pa ganun ka-organize yung kanyang mga pagulan or yung kanyang cloudiness, mas magkakaroon pa yan ng mas magandang circulation or mas maayos na circulation habang mas malakas na po yan or umabot na yung super typhoon category. Pero again, dito pa lang makikita natin yung lawak ng kanyang mga cloudiness. And ito yung ating infrared image, which is nagpapakita ng mga temperature yan, kulay pula na yan, which is yan yung ating mas malalamig, na magtra-translate sa mas matataas na mga ulap. Ibig sabihin yan, mas marami rin po or possible na mas marami po yung dalang pagulan. So sa lawak po niyan, if ever dumikit na po yan sa ating bansa, meron tayong ine-expect na mga possible nga na torrential o yung ating mga halos walang tigil or malawakang mga pagulan na maaaring idulot itong Bagyong Uwan. Ito nga si Bagyong Uwan ang possible na pinakamalakas nating bagyo this year at ang ating pinakamalawak na rin na bagyo this year. Sean?
Alvin, just taking a look at the map, nakikita natin kasing laki ng uwan yung buong Pilipinas, kaya nakakatakot talaga. But on another note, Alvin, di ba pareho rin ng track nitong si Uwan, yung kay Typhoon Ulysses back in 2020, actually around November din yun eh. And malaki talaga yung pinsala na naiwan niya. About 100 people died, over 20 billion pesos yung naging aftermath, yung damages, no? So can we expect more or less the same wrath nitong Uwan katulad ng kay Ulysses?
Yes, Pauline. Actually, si Ulysses din ang mas nakikita kong medyo kahawig na itong si Bagyong Uwan. Si Ulysses is naglandfall sa Dingalan, sa may Aurora, and dumikit nga dito sa areas ng Quezon. Sa ngayon, mas mataas ng konti itong track natin para kay Uwan, pero may chance pa yan kasing bumaba eh. Meron pa rin tayong area of uncertainty. And again, yung Bagyong Ulysses is medyo malawak din yung kanyang center winds. And itong si Uwan is makikita din na mas malawak din yung kanyang mata dahil nga sa sobrang laki ng circulation nito. So possible na magkaroon din tayo ng ganong kalakas na mga damages and lalong-lalo na storm surge. Given na mas malakas din yung ating inaasahang possible na strength nitong Bagyong Uwan. So given that, actually mas possible pa na mas malakas yung kanyang center winds. So mas meron tayong inaasahang possible na daluyong or storm surge sa eastern section ng Northern Luzon, Central Luzon, Bicol region, and up to dito sa eastern section ng Visayas. And aside from that, meron din tayong mga inaasahang possible na malalakas na pag-ulan sa kasabay ng pagtawid nitong bagyong si Uwan. Pero meron tayong aftermath nitong Ulysses nung nakaraan. Pagtawid niya, nagkaroon tayo ng shear line na naka-apekto dito sa Cagayan. Right now, yung ating inaasahan na main na pag-ulan for Uwan dito sa Cagayan area is yung kanyang direct effect. Dahil nakikita natin ito natatawid dito sa may eastern section, western section ng Ilocos region patungo dito sa may areas ng Taiwan. So, given that, tingnan natin kung ano mas magiging epekto nito. Possible pa rin tayong magkaroon ng torrential rains pero yung pagtawid ni Ulysses, yun yung naka-apekto dito sa Cagayan. Yun yung time na may mga tao sa taas ng bubong at tumapaw yung Cagayan River. Possible pa rin yan dito dahil meron tayong ina-expect na torrential rain. So, both lakas ng hangin at lakas ng ulan ang dangers nitong si Uwan. Yes?
Inaasahan ba nating marami ring landfall na mangyayari dito sa bagyong ito?
Compared sa Tino, Ma'am Ces, since mainland yung ating inaasahang landfall dito kay Uwan, is possible na isang landfall lang yan. But, pag bumaba pa ng konti yan, dahil kasama pa natin sa area of uncertainty, itong areas ng Bicol region. So if ever bumaba po yan, sumaya dito sa may area ng Catanduanes, kasi nakausli ang area na yan, possible na at least 2. Pero hopefully, mas mataas na yung kanyang track for now.
Yung Sierra Madre Mountain Range ba ay makakatulong bilang panangga dito sa bagyong ito?
Ma'am Ces, meron tayong inaasahang paghina nitong bagyong Uwan if ever maglandfall yan dito sa areas nga ng Caraballo, Mountain Range at Sierra Madre, kasama po dyan ang kabundukan ng Cordillera. Pero dahil sa lawak po ng circulation yan, if ever meron tayong makitang paghina yan, is possible hanggang typhoon category yan. So malakas na bagyo pa rin po yan natatawid dito sa Northern Luzon. So better pa rin tayo mag-expect ng mga dangerous at malalakas na hangin and malalakas na pag-ulan. Dahil nga sobrang laki ng circulation niya, hindi natin nakikitaan to ng tuluyang paghina. Unlike ni Bagyong Pipito na after mag-landfall, nakitaan na agad natin ng significant na paghina dahil medyo maliit yung circulation niya. This one, si Uwan, is medyo malawak. If ever humina po ito, meron tayong nakikitang hindi rin siya ganun ka significant na paghina. Malakas na bagyo pa rin po ito, tatawid sa ating bansa. And then, yun nga, meron pa rin tayong mga inaasahang rainfall na possible na maka-apekto dyan sa mga kabundukan, which is prone to flash floods and landslides. So, kailangan pa rin po natin mag-ingat.
At saka panghuli na lamang talagang Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao, mararamdaman si Uwan. Buong bansa.
Yes, Ma'am Ces, yung ating concentration ng mga pag-ulan, mostly nandito sa Luzon, pero yung ating hangin po na directly associated dito sa Bagyong Uwan, mararamdaman po yan up to Visayas hanggang dito sa Mindanao. Possible din po yung mga scattered rains natin, pero unlike doon sa center or sa mga areas na nasa Luzon, na medyo nandun yung ating concentration ng malakas na pag-ulan, possible pa rin po. Lalong-lalo na sa mga areas na nadaanan ng Bagyong Tino, medyo saturated yung lupa natin. If ever may mga scattered tayong ulan dyan, kahit thunderstorms lang, is possible pa rin po tayo magka-flash floods and landslides siya. So mag-ingat pa rin po tayo. So buong bansa po dapat mag-ready at paganda sa pagdating nga or pagdaan itong Bagyong Uwan sa ating land.
Maraming salamat sa report, News 5 weather frontliner Alvin Pura. Meantime, after the massive inundation of Cebu due to Typhoon Tino, an investigation is underway on the compliance and impact of the Monterrazas de Cebu by celebrity engineer Slater Young. And joining us tonight is Yusek Carlos Primo David of the Department of Environment and Natural Resources. Good evening, Yusek. Welcome to The Big Story.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Well, you are regarded as the water czar, in a way coordinating the water usage in the country. the observation of what happened in Cebu is that it wasn't just a weather event, but a systems failure because, well, the watershed has been denuded, the waterways have been blocked, there's groundwater saturation, and the irony is that Cebu has been suffering from a water crisis and then they're suddenly inundated with flood waters. How can this problem be addressed, Yusek?
I couldn't have said it much better than how you framed it, Says, no. This is a failure of multiple systems, natural, the natural environment, structural, maybe even institutional and social, the social aspects of a disaster. They failed simultaneously. And in fact, even just one factor of among these different systems that actually work, we would have averted this massive hazard. No, so maybe I can start with the natural system. No, we can't do much about what nature will bring us. So there's definitely a lot of rain, much more rain compared to Odette and other typhoons in the past. No, more than 400 millimeters. Para siyang mini Ondoy, if I may say so. Secondly, the timing of the rainfall which happened, no, yung kasagsagan niya nangyari siya ng medyo madaling araw and therefore people were caught off guard. These things we cannot do anything about. But the other systems, for example, structural, are there flood control projects in the area that would have averted a major disaster? Yan ang tanong natin. And if you will ask me as a geologist says, definitely we will have to look at the flood control structures that were built on the rivers that flooded, because among the four major rivers in Cebu that actually flooded, these are all heavily diked, meaning that DPWH projects, no, flood control projects, were in place in these four rivers. And so we were tasked by the Office of the President to look into the matter, conduct an investigation, not only on the DPWH flood control projects, but also other systems that failed. If you will ask me offhand, when we looked at the maps, definitely the flood control projects did not work. And if I may say so, in a lot of cases, they actually enhance the flooding downstream.
So this is a microcosm of what's happening all over the country. Yusek, you are supposed to coordinate water governance, but the government is so fragmented. Nakikinig ba ang DPWH sa inyo? Paano ba ang sistema dito? Is there supposed to be one person conducting the entire, orchestra, if you will?
I don't think one person can conduct the entire orchestra, because water cuts across different sectors. No, water is our supply, no, for irrigation and then drinking water. It is also a resource for hydropower. It's also a cause for disasters when it causes flooding. No, and the different departments would have mandates on the different aspects of flooding and of water, and flooding falls or rests on DPWH. In terms of your question, are they coordinating with us? I guess now that the problem is facing us, I can safely say that the new management in DPWH are coordinating not just with DPWH but with everybody. Ito yung ideal situation, I think, Says.
So ngayon
wherein
na
the
lang
whole
po,
government-
if I may interrupt you, this is only happening because of the scandal that shocked all of us. Before that,
Parang-
may
Parang
nangyayari.
we will have to learn our lesson first before working together, because in the past, no, there was really no coordination with us.
Dr. David, I wanted to ask you because last night we had on the show former Cebu Governor Gwen Garcia, and we were talking, and she was very passionate about the desilting of the Mananga River. Now, hindi yata natapos yun, but she was mentioning, of course, na may Environmental Clearance Certificate or ECC, yung 7 segments nung desilting project na yon assigned to 7 contractors. What I wanted to ask you, I suppose, is what does the desilting would that have helped kind of minimize the flooding kahit a little bit? Is that a solution, a viable solution?
It would have definitely helped, Sean, but it's not the only solution that is required. I think, no, as mentioned earlier, I think when we place structures, and this is, I keep on harping on this, no, when we place structures on the natural environment, there are consequences. No, there are advantages, but you also generate disadvantages. Case in point, every time that you constrict, divert, block, no, or alter the natural course of a waterway, a river, for example, you are probably protecting the adjacent communities from flooding, but you're simply translocating the problem elsewhere. The water will not disappear just because there's a wall there. It will go down, and in places where it's low-lying, where there are no dikes, where people are living closer to the river, that is where the disaster will occur. And this is precisely what we are seeing in Cebu. I hate to sound like an expert, no, after the fact, no, but I think we've had so many experiences, no, similar to this,
Yes.
that we just have to learn. And ito, may bagong bagyo. Hopefully, we learned our lesson already.
And the other problem that was mentioned, of course, yung taas kasi, no, yung Monterasas issue, I'm sure you caught wind of it. Pababa, di ba, tinayuan nila ng condo yung slope, so dinenude. Bumaba yung tubig. And then Cebu City has a different governance from the rest of the province. So, since you are kumbaga, the boss of all these water projects and waterways, is there something that you can do to help them kind of like put it together, pag-usapin sila, pa-coordinate yung mga project? Is that possible?
Nako, natumbok mo yung isang problema which will involve the LGUs, and this is proper land use planning. We can only do so much in terms of reforestation, no? And that is, I guess, maybe a failure of the DNR, no? Kasi kulang yung reforestation efforts natin. But land use planning, no, through the LGU is so critical simply because there are areas that are naturally going to be flooded when extreme events happen, like in the case of Typhoon Tino. Hindi talaga yan maiiwasan, and therefore these areas are naturally disaster prone. Lalagyan ba natin ng pagkataas-taas na mga dike yan, or mas cost-effective pa to relocate our communities? These are questions that we will have to pose to the LGUs because this is their mandate, but with the proper guidance, obviously, of the national government.
But Yusek, when it comes to our policies regarding land use, these were actually written years ago pa, no? Decades ago. Are they up to date, Yusek?
Are they up to date? We see lapses in our laws and policies. For example, let me cite the easement law of natural waterways. Meron kasing law na pagka merong ilog dyan, hindi mo yan pwedeng patitulahan yung ilog mismo. And there is an easement on both sides, left and right bank, that in urban areas, there is a 3-meter easement from the edge of the river, 3 meters out, no, on both sides. These are no-build zones. Obviously, yung 3 meters, masyado maliit yan. Hindi man lang isang bahay yan. No? So parang kulang yung easement. But the worst thing that our law has made in the past is that we measured the edge of the river during the dry season flow. Ibig sabihin, pagka maliit yung ilog, doon tayo magme-measure ng left and right bank and then 3 meters out. What we should have done is to measure where is the bank during the wet season flow, kung saan malaki yung ilog, and then measure 3 meters or maybe even more. Yan ang mga no-build zones. Kaya lang, yung mga kabahayan natin ngayon talagang nasa edge. At hindi mo rin masisi yung DPWH in this case, nalagyan ng dike dahil nandun na nga yung mga bahay that are really flood prone. So parang nawalan tayo ng solution dahil hindi natin nire-relocate, lagyan natin ng pader yung river at hindi ito ang pinaka-ideal, no, in my understanding, hindi ito ang pinaka-ideal na solution sa pagbaha.
Yun nga yung ano,
Yusek, may I ask how you promote as the science-based solution? Kasi nangyayari, nagiging political expediency ang nauuna. How will we engender in government na kailangan science-based ang approach sa pagtutok sa mga ganitong problema?
Itong buong flood control issue, of course, as individuals, we are interested in finding whether there is corruption, there was pilferage of the coffers of the government. But as DNR, no, as a public servant representing the DNR, we are more interested in how do we move forward from this.
Yes.
And we have promoted in the past, but it wasn't heard loudly by the previous DPWH administration. But this time, I think everyone is on board, no? Number one, it has to follow nature-based solutions. If the waterway, the way we found it, as much as possible, we leave it as is. No, clear the waterways of any obstruction, whether it's vegetation, structures that we have built, houses, and so on and so forth. This is the only way. Number two, we promote impoundment of water upstream. Keso sinusolusyonan natin yung baha. Pagka nandyan na, katabi na ng bahay natin at maglalagay tayo ng pader, what we are promoting is we impound water upstream so that less water comes down.
Okay.
Secondly, the advantage of impounding water upstream, we will be able to use this water during the dry season.
Yeah.
Alam nyo, ngayon, problema yung sobrang tubig, pero I would want to bet, no, that in next year, early next year, kulang naman ang tubig natin. Bakit kulang? Dahil finlush out natin yung tubig, lahat ng tubig na bumaba ngayong rainy season at hindi natin inimbak during this time.
So paano
No,
ginagawa ang impounding upstream? How do we impound that water? How do we
Many
collect
solutions.
it? Yeah.
Many solutions, and we promote low height dams, 2 to 5 meters in height, not the big
Massive
major dams.
structures, yeah.
Oo. Kasi may maintenance issue pa yan pagka malalaking dam. No? So anyway, bagay sa ating mga ilog ang maliliit at sunod-sunod na dam, cascading dams is what we call them, so that we impound water for irrigation, water supply, ecotourism, and so on and so forth. In fact, in the 70s and 80s, when I look at the mga man-made lakes natin and dams, in the 70s and 80s, this was our solution. No? We knew during that time that we have to save this water during the rainy season so that we can use something during the dry season. We forgot all about it.
Money came into the picture.
And partisan politics. Actually, I wanted to add to Ces's point, no, because tinanong rin namin si former Governor Gwen kagabi, bakit nga, ano bang plano nila dun sa mga nasa easement, nakatira dun sa dapat na easement, right? And she said, kinakausap niya yung mga mayors, pero malapit na mag-election, so pwede daw bang ipagpaliban muna? Can we wait until after the election? Now, that seems to be a problem. Now that you're saying nakikinig sa inyo, yung mga departments, do you think there is sufficient political will because of what we have been experiencing na talagang may pag-asa na magkaroon ng pagbabago?
Alam mo, optimistic din ako, and I think we really need to learn from all these mistakes. And now is the time to change our ways.
Yeah.
Not only from the national government standpoint, but also from the LGU standpoint. No? Maging mas vigilant doon sa mga desisyon na kailangan gawin. Alam ko, hindi siya maaring maging popular decision dahil sa elections at constituency to and so on. In fact, sometimes yung mga areas kung saan nakatira yung mga kababayan natin, these are titled properties, so parang hindi mo sila pwedeng paalisin doon sa property nila mismo. Kaya lang kailangan nating explain na these are really flood-prone areas, and the best way is really to find a more suitable place for their habitation.
Yes. Yusek, I heard you say this, what you were talking about 3 years ago, maybe 2.5 years ago.
In some forum, I remember.
Yes.
Yes.
May nangyari ba? I mean, where are the small wins? Wala.
The big win is that Sec Vince came to DPWH, and the whole bureaucracy. And I've been working with really good engineers in DPWH in the past, but the leadership in the previous administration wasn't as responsive. No, should I say that? No, but this time, ang ganda nung coordination na nangyayari, and we will have to build on this momentum, I think, para talagang tuluyang mabago yung the way we understand flooding. By the way, we don't control it, we don't call
Yeah.
it flood
Mali,
control.
Ano
Oo.
dapat? Flood.
You'll
Yeah.
never be able to control floods because it's a natural phenomenon. We call it flood management.
Flood
No?
management.
Reduce the height of the floods, situate where it will flood that no one is affected. Yung mga ganyan. No?
Yeah.
So that's what we are promoting.
All right, and lastly, what is the priority in Cebu? What's doable in the next couple of months that will somehow, because I'm sure now they're all bracing for the next one, and they're still, shocked by what happened.
Hopefully, there's not going to be any typhoons for the rest of the year for this rainy season in the Visayas area. Possibly, maybe another one towards the end of November or early December. Meron pa ring forecast na ganyan. But really, the whole day today in our office, we were just working on Cebu. Plot out all the hazard areas, determine which structures are actually not flood control but flood enhancement projects, and propose to DPWH things to do. Later on, I would call on Gov Pam Baricuatro and propose to her a different kind of strategy for flood management.
And just quickly, Yusek, before we let you go, we know the DENR also launched a thorough investigation just today on the Monterazas in Cebu. Can you give us details, Yusek, on this investigation? Who will be leading the team of experts, and what red flags are you looking into? And if violations are confirmed, what are some of the sanctions that this developer could face?
Nako, I can't give a lot of details, Pauline, but the investigation is being led by the regional office of DNR, Region 7, which is in Cebu. And it's not only that development that we are looking at, but all other similar types of development. This is, we launched it already, and there's an initial report that came to the central office in DNR already. But rest assured that this is not just for that development, but a more comprehensive assessment of the area.
And sana review rin ng EMB kasi nagbibigay sila ng ECC, and that these buildings would not have been there without ECCs, right?
There are conditions in the ECC, and this is actually what we will be checking. If these conditions were met, we allow development, and development is definitely not bad. No, we can't protect the entire area to have nature be intact. No, because development is also important, but we will have to balance this. No, in terms of hazards, in terms of environmental protection, social equity, and so on. So these are the things that we will be investigating.
Ang daming pahabol, last na talaga. Yusek, kailangan ba natin ng water department, or is there a need for that? Someone to handle our water resources with the rank of secretary?
I think so. But, Sess, even if we put up a department, the problems that we face, flooding, water supply issues, will never magically disappear. It will always be there. But with the department, I think a more concerted effort, no, definitely more funding will come towards the direction of the water sector. These are all good, no, and coordination-wise, I think it will also be better. So I'm all for having a department.
All right. With that, we thank you so much for joining the big story tonight, Environment Undersecretary Carlos Primo, CP David.
All right, we're just going to take a quick break, but coming up, several officials of Cebu are drawing flack for being away while Typhoon Tino battered their localities. Residents have also flagged the absence of evacuation warnings before the calamity hit. The details of that when the big story returns. Keep it here on One News.
The big story is back with Cardinal Ambo David's call to President Marcos for the creation of a National Truth and Reconciliation Commission. This commission will be tasked to investigate thousands of deaths linked to the Duterte drug war. In a letter dated November 7, Cardinal David said the proposed commission would not seek vengeance but truth and accountability. David sees the proposed panel as a means to restore dignity to alleged victims and their families who are seeking justice and closure. The Cardinal added that the Truth Commission would send a powerful message that the country chooses, quote, courage over fear, accountability over impunity, and reconciliation over silence.
Our nation needs healing because reconciliation is always possible. On the condition that there will be pag-amin, pagsisisi, at pagbabayad puri, pagkukumpuni sa perwisyo. Truth-telling is not an act of reopening wounds. It is the only path by which wounds can finally heal. Silence breeds resentment and fear. Truth restores dignity, trust, and moral coherence to our democracy.
Amid the devastation and rising death toll in Cebu from Typhoon Tino, one question has come up. Where were the province's local government officials? Well, residents claim there were no preventive action on the part of several LGUs. 7 mayors are now being criticized for their absence. These are Catmon Mayor Avis Ginoo Monleon, San Francisco Mayor Alfredo Arquiliano Jr., Tudela Mayor Greman Solante, Oro Mayor Edgar Rama, Pilar Mayor Manuel Santiago, Compostela Mayor Felijur Quino, Liloan Mayor Alju Fernando Frasco, as well as Cebu Provincial Board Member Andre Red Duterte. The said officials are reportedly on a trip to the United Kingdom. Based on documents, the officials filed a request for travel authority from October 30 until November 11. And these were filed separately as early as September 4 and the last on September 23. These were all approved by Cebu Governor Pam Baricuatro. But the officials were criticized for going on a personal trip despite warnings on the typhoon before they left. And on top of that, their constituents are still recovering from the September 30 earthquake. But some are coming to the officials' defense, saying the leaves of absence were filed before calamities hit. One said, stop blaming the officials and instead focus on the flood control scam. There is still no confirmation from the Cebu capital if the officials indeed pushed through with their overseas trip.
President Marcos visited Cebu today to oversee the relief and recovery operations in Typhoon Tino hit areas. The president first conducted an aerial inspection of the province before heading to Liloan. Liloan is one of the most devastated towns with numerous casualties and widespread damage. Marcos visited Tiltilon Elementary School in Barangay Kotkot, which is currently serving as an evacuation center. There, the residents told the president that they received little to no warning when the flash floods hit.
Walang mayente, walang tubig.
Parating lahat yan. Pero unang-una, mabuhayin muna namin kayo, pagkain at saka tubig.
Meanwhile, casualties from the typhoon Tino continue to climb. As of today, the death toll has risen to 188, with most of the dead coming from Cebu with 139. There are still 136 individuals unaccounted for, also mostly from Cebu.
In other news, economic growth slowed in the third quarter of 2025, but at a much steeper rate than many analysts expected. Third quarter GDP stood at 4%, the slowest pace in 4 years, failing to meet the government's target range of 5.5 to 6.5%. DepDev Secretary Arsenio Balisacan attributed the slowdown to curbed public spending due to the corruption scandal and a succession of typhoons. The figure is way lower than the 5.3% median estimate of 18 economists polled by Business World. The Finance Department has shrugged off the bad economic news as a mere hiccup, reiterating Balisacan's line that the country is poised for a comeback next year. The Asian Development Bank has trimmed its growth projections for 2026 from 5.8% in its July forecast to 5.7% in October.
We're going to be pausing for another quick break, but when we return, a Cebu-based company shows the way for eco-friendly construction and architecture. Sustainability is up next. Keep it here on One News.
Welcome back to The Big Story. A Cebu-based company is promoting eco-friendly products, and this firm is the first B Corp certified manufacturer in the Philippines. Nature's Legacy has developed sustainable innovations used for construction, home decor, souvenirs, and other architectural needs. These include Nature's Cast, which is made of rescued agroforest debris, and New Cast, made of re-engineered recycled paper composite. Nature's Legacy earned the distinction in 2019 as the first B Corporation certified manufacturing company in the country. In 2024, it reached an overall score of 98.8, well above the median score of 50.9 for ordinary businesses. Here, we feature companies with earth-friendly initiatives, one story at a time. Welcome to Sustainability. Let's get to know more about Nature's Legacy with its president and co-founder, Pete Delantar. Good evening, Pete. Pete, welcome to The Big Story.
Yeah, good evening, Ces, and good evening to our listener. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us despite, being hit by a massive disaster there in Cebu. Tell us how exporters like you are affected, because I understand that the area where all the plants are was really severely hit.
Yeah, first of all, Sis, I would like to emphasize that the northern part of Cebu, from the city up north, it's Mandaue, Consolacion, Liloan, and Compostela, and then Danao City. That's where most of the manufacturers are. And severely hit actually were the residential area because they are staying towards the mountainside where these subdivisions are also along the rivers. But manufacturers also are also staying in the industrial area, which the river also reached down there. So eventually, when the flood came, the waters also went into the industrial area. But fortunately, there was a lot less people because it's an industrial area. But nevertheless, the disruption for operation, like power shortage and lack of internet access, has prompted operation to a halt. And this is the time of the year where we are very busy exporting products to different parts of the world to meet the deadlines for spring requirement.
Okay. So this means that many of the exporters will be reducing the forecast for the year of earnings.
Probably there will be, like us, we have to stop operation because there's no electricity. We're supposed to use our generator, but we were flooded as well. So our generator has to be reboot and have to be checked thoroughly so that it will be compliant to, ready to be operational. Otherwise, we'll have a lot of problem also with our machines. And the workers are still busy recovering. There are people that work for us that lost 13 members of their families. And the flood came so rushed that they don't have time to get up and seek for higher levels. They were just swept, no time to catch with their families. So it's really, it's a really very challenging time for us.
We're so sorry to hear that, but let's go into what you're doing and how this is good for the environment and how, you know, you use materials that would otherwise be thrown away, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Explain to us exactly what materials
thank you.
these are.
So I have to go back a little bit backwards because in 2003, when green manufacturing was not yet the norm, we decided to focus on what is available within a 50-kilometer radius of where we are situated. And why is that? Because the first reason is that there is low carbon footprints, and the resources that surrounds us are best produced in an area where it's close because you eliminate a lot of logistics and a lot of cost in transporting and a lot of also mishandling of materials. So we focus on that premise of sourcing materials within the 50-kilometer area. Now, on the first thing that we selected was we were cleaning our factory back in 2003, and normally in a factory where we are situated, we are surrounded by greens and a lot of, not trees because there's no more forest here in Cebu, but a lot of shrubs. And these shrubs, goes to the factory, and if you don't clean them, they are threat to bushfire. So basically what we did was clean the factory every summer, where it's the driest time, and by a spark of lightning or a eureka moment, we said, no, these are supposed to be resources and we should not burn them, which is a typical way of, discarding agro waste and materials from natural source. So what we did was to study more and redevelop and analyze what these materials should be put in good use. So we discover nature's gas. Nature's gas is the material innovation that have brought us to develop many products, not just for decoration, but also for building materials, as well as for packaging, for luxury items that we sell in 20 countries all over the world.
What is this? Mga dahon-dahon, mga twigs, ganyan?
What is
it's
agroforest debris?
Yeah.
Twigs?
Yeah, twigs, shrubs, and leaves. Agroforest debris, agriculture debris that are not useful because the soil in the location where we are is limestone, and plants don't grow big in that scenario because the topsoil is very thin. So they die naturally for a certain time, and they become hazardous because there's a lot of dry material that somebody would just throw a cigarette. It could probably trigger some ember and smoke. So we gather them. We organize a community to gather and select the ones that are useful, specifically 3 kinds of debris. We don't cut trees. We don't use trees. We only gather the fallen twigs.
What's on the soil? What's already on the soil?
What's already on the soil.
What's fallen?
Correct.
So, practically libre.
Practically libre is given by the Almighty, but but the processing is the one that making it also cost because there's a lot of different steps before you arrive to making it very useful.
Okay, what naman is new cast? Ito ba yung mga made from the cartons?
Yes.
Tell us about.
No cast is the result of the many excess materials we have in our packaging because we make our own cartons. The motivation to make our own cartons or boxes is that when you buy from a box manufacturer, there are high minimums of 1,000, 2,000 per size. But if you have your own equipment to process a box, you're able to produce 30 pieces, 20 pieces, and any time of the day, you can shift your production at your own pace.
Yeah.
So we use the scraps and process it to make it into a new material called new cast.
Which can look like marble, like, you know, right? I've been to your plant.
Yes. They are very flexible in mimicking texture like leather, wood, bark, and they can even make marbleized effect. So it's just a mixture of science and skill. You know, you have to put your heart and mind into the production of the product.
Pete, are these composites all made out of sustainable materials? Obviously, the base material, which is the debris, that's definitely eco-friendly. But what else do you put into the composite without giving away your patents that makes it truly sustainable?
Yeah. First of all, there's a lot of science because my partner, my co-founder, my wife is a science graduate, and she does all those concoction. But we use no VOC binder, as we call it, and we combine it with some natural material. Those binders have passed through different tests for VOC, biodegradability. They're tested in Europe and in the US because you cannot claim sustainability and biodegradability if you don't have certification and tests to support your claim. You will be greenwashing. So it's really a long process since we started this in 2003, and we have been criticized so many times because people say that we are getting the food of the forest. And I said, no, we're not getting the food of the forest. We're taking away the risk of bushfire. And we're not getting everything. We're only getting what we need. So we launched it, and then the rest was history. People were saying, oh, make me this. Try to make a wall panel. Try to make a hanging lamp.
Where's your biggest market? Is it Japan? Europe? Ano yung pinakamalaking?
Yeah, we used to have the huge market in the US, but we now diversified to a lot of different countries. Japan is one. We have Europe, Netherlands, Germany, and Italy, and the US, Australia. So these are a very selective market because they asked you so many questions. They asked you to provide so many documents before they even start issuing you a purchase order. Even our banks, they audit us before they issue us a credit line that we are compliant.
Yeah. Is this what compelled you to get a B certification?
Not only that, not only being sustainable, but also what is our value as a company? You know, because our values for company is aligned with the B Corporation certification. You know, it's not only about business, it's not only about profit, but also for the products, communities, and even the customers that we serve. They are, when you go to a certification process of the B Corp, which is being processed by B Lab, they asked who is your customers. They check your customers. Is your customers also aligned with what you do and aligned with what B Corp represents?
P, just one question for me. As one of the very few sustainable manufacturers in the Philippines, how do you think other businesses can follow your lead and truly adopt sustainable practices?
Yeah, you have to be ready. When you go to select the path that you want to be sustainable, you have to be ready on the challenges that lies ahead. You know, there will be challenges on supplies. There will be challenges on people who are not transparent on what they serve you. Like, for example, they serve you a material and they say it's made from this composite, whatever, and then we found out it's not. It will be a backlash on our market as well. So we have to tell the people or who wants to be into the sustainable business to take one step at a time. You don't go straight there. We started in 2003, and you notice we got our B Corp in 2019. We became C2C certified in 2018. 2017 or 2000. It takes a while. You know, there are so many steps that even your financial statements are being checked. The taxes, are you cleared? Are you paying right your employees and other benefits?
Pete,
So it's a long process.
yeah, I took a picture of your facade. It looked really beautiful. Yun pala, gawa lang yun sa
Nature's cast.
Yeah, nature's cast. It was so
Yeah.
beautiful. But how can, the practice that Nature's Legacy is doing on being sustainable, how does it help prevent or how did CP David term it? Kasi manage flooding, for instance. How did your adherence to these principles help somehow protect the environment you are in? Meron ba? May impact ba? Nakikita mo? Is it felt by your employees, for instance, by the neighborhood, by the community?
Definitely, because our practices extend to our community. You know, it's not only that you say because you plant trees, you save the flooding, but also how you manage the community and the resources around you. You know, by managing resources, you don't just abuse the use of it, but you take note on where is the right time to harvest, when is the best time to gather and process them. Not just you go there and just pick it up. No, there should be some sort of a understanding nature cycle.
Kaso
You have to
binaha
also
naman
understand.
kayo eh. Binaha kayo.
Yeah, binaha rin kami because the rain was it's too much that the soil cannot absorb it, and the drainage system in our community was very old. I think from 1997. So it needs to be deepened or
Widened or...
widen.
Yeah.
Kailangan kami rin, we have to even adjust our drainage system because it's just too much rain. They say that it was like 1 month worth of rain that poured in how many hours. Grabe talaga yan.
So anong tulong ang gagawin ng, well, of course you need help also to resume your operations, but how can you help the community, lastly, Pete, in addressing this calamity and its impact?
Yeah, I think the first thing that we can advise is to minimize your waste because waste also clogs the rivers and the canals.
Zero waste na ba kayo? Zero
Yeah,
waste.
we are zero waste. Remember our nature's cast, the big items, the materials excess from the big items goes to our fashion. If you remember, we have Floria.
I wanted to wear sana, I forgot. Tomorrow. But anyway, Pete, we've gone over time. We thank you so much for your time sharing your principles and what you're doing. I hope it inspires others. So that was Pete Delantar of Nature's Legacy in Cebu.
Have a good evening.
All right, and just like that, that's it for the big story this week. Thank you so much for watching.
We are back here on Monday at 7:30 p.m. See you then.
Kapatid, we are One News, all sides, all the time. Have a good night and stay safe.
Yes, stay safe. We, of course, stay tuned to One News. We will be keeping tabs on this upcoming typhoon. But coming up next, we have a lot of sports and we owe them 5 minutes. Play-by-play is now on with Andre Felix and Riza Diaz. Hi, guys. Pasensya na.
Okay lang. No, it's a great interview. We're actually listening in and, it's really, kumbaga, worth it naman.
Very timely.
Timely.
May mga na-cancel bang games? I'm just curious.
Yeah.
This weekend, ahead of the typhoon.
Well, meron ng mga ibang events, outdoor events especially, that are already saying they might be canceling.
Run Rio, di ba yung Sunday?
Yeah, but that is up in the air still up until tomorrow.
Yeah.
But as for, let's say, indoor games like basketball, everything is still pushing through as of the moment, but we are standing by for updates.
Correct.
Definitely.
You know what's funny? I actually ran with our weather tito, Alvin Pura, this afternoon. Sabi niya na Coach Rio was actually talking to, and his wife, Nicole, was talking to Alvin and asking ano bang mangyayari nga kung uulan.
Dapat ba namin cancelin na?
Kasi the run, supposedly for Sunday, madaling araw yan hanggang 8 a.m. Expectedly papasok daw ng 12 noon. Sabi ni Alvin, na nag-report din sa inyo.
Oo. Pag ulan, no, tomorrow noon magsisimula yun yung sinasabi.
Yes.
So we all play it by ear and
Yeah.
hopefully it's
Stay safe.
not as bad as you know it is projected,
Yes.
but definitely we'll be updating everyone.
Correct, Riza. Pati be prepared.
Right.
Mag-ingat tayo mga kapatid. Maghanda na po tayo. Thank you, girls, and have a great weekend ahead to Cess, to Sean, and to Pauline. On our show, we've got Filipino-American NBA star Jalen Green taking the spotlight in today's lone NBA game, plus a double-header on tap.